Hello and welcome to the Passion Driven Pioneers interview series. I'm your host, John Shannon, and today I'm joined by Jeff Achen, who is the owner of Call Sign 51. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like to just kick us off with a brief background as to who you are, what you do, and then the business that you're in?
Yeah, I never know what to share in terms of what people are interested in, but I will. I'll just kind of start at the beginning and give you everything in a nutshell as much as possible. I'm Jeff Achen. I went into the Navy right out of college and did 4 years of service there, trying to figure out who I was and what I want to do with my life. Went back to college on the GI Bill after that. Got interested in journalism, which we'll talk about, and decided I wanted to see a little more of the world and spend a little more time in some of the places I had traveled, or at least when I traveled, spend a little more time there than I did just hopping off the ship for one night. So I joined the Peace Corps, and I got stationed in Nepal and was a teacher, English language teacher. And I brought my camera with me, and I got to experience another culture, learn another language, and spent a year in Nepal. And then I came home from that, trying to figure out what I want to do with my career. I applied for a local TV station in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And I sent out my application to the University of North Dakota for a master's degree program, and I got accepted both. And so I kind of moonlighted as a TV news reporter at night, and during the day I was working on my master's degree. My master's degree, I'll share just because I'm really passionate about it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I want to use this in some future efforts here to do some speaking, professional speaking. I focused on conflict resolution and journalism, and how journalists play a role in conflict, either exacerbating it or helping to alleviate and solve conflict. So that's a passion area of mine that I still am a little interested in pursuing. But when I graduated there, I got married and moved to the cities, Twin Cities, and got a job at a newspaper. Eventually that evolved into multimedia, freelancing, and now today I own my own video production and photography company. And I've been doing that for about 10 years now, completely on my own. But I freelanced quite a few of those years. So I can relate to any of those folks out there that might have been doing a side hustle and then turning it into a full-time business, or are thinking about doing that.
Well, was there a specific spark that kind of took you from working for other folks to wanting to have your own business?
Well, the spark was money. I mean, I didn't make much as a journalist, to be honest, and that's probably not a big surprise. And so I was shooting some weddings on the weekends and stuff like that. I even got a job at a coffee shop, and my wife just said, "Why don't you try to do more freelance stuff, weddings, commercials?" And that's what happened. Is as I was doing stuff as a journalist, of course, I got networked like most people do. You work and you meet people, and somebody says, "Hey, can you do some video for us?" And and I ended up doing a lot of freelancing, and that was a great supplement to the main income I was making. And I really enjoyed being a journalist, and I had a real passion. Being a journalist, I got to really be curious and ask lots of questions, and I still hold on to that now. And then I got a job in the nonprofit sector working for the St. Paul Foundation as a digital strategist. They were launching a new website. Your listeners might be familiar with givemn.org.
Yeah.
It was new at the time in taking giving online. People were giving with credit cards, processing those transactions online for their favorite nonprofit and cause. And St. Paul Foundation and Minnesota Community Foundation were on the cutting edge of trying to move folks into that way, and into move nonprofits into thinking about digital fundraising. So I got to do a lot of that and add to the multimedia, online education about online marketing and online fundraising. And again, during all of that time, I was making connections and getting people asking me, can you create some videos for us?
Talk to us about what were some of the skills maybe that you brought with you that you feel helped you make you successful in those first few years in business?
Um, I don't know about skills other than, obviously I learned my craft well, but there were many people that know how to shoot stuff and edit. I think one, just a drive to be helpful. I think that's a key business philosophy for me, is instead of focusing on always how to be successful or how to make a buck, it's how can I help? How can I help someone drive their business forward? How can I help get that event or video recorded for that person? And that drive to help people and focus on how can I be useful, how can I create something. And of course, I'm passionate about creating stuff, so that's what I love to do. So when someone says, "Hey, can you help me create something?" I like to do that. Obviously, then I said, "Hey, this is what I charge for that," and made it into a business. And so I think that's what I would say in response to your question is focusing on being helpful.
Okay. I'm going to change the subject just a little bit and talk to us a little bit about kind of what was that work-life balance like when you first started the business versus what's it look like now, and how has it changed?
Well, my life changed a lot over the years of having the business. I mean, we had our first child when I was still with the St. Paul Foundation and I was freelancing. And then we, changed, got a home and had the second child. We have three children today. And so, the needs of the family to make, and I was pretty much the sole breadwinner. And so those needs changed. And I tried to balance spending time with my family, supporting my kids and my wife and giving them quality time, and then also growing this business on the side. And my wife and I had to have a serious conversation the day I left behind the kind of the so-called corporate work, and just was like, we're just going to have this business. That means we have to pay our own health insurance and all of that stuff. So the work-life balance, it was interesting for me, and it still is, because I'm a small business owner and a video producer. I One of the benefits of leaving the full-time job, the 9 to 5, was I now could say, "Hey, I'm free on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. I'm available this Sunday at 10 in the morning. I can do the video shoot 7 o'clock at night on a Friday." And those were when events and things were happening, and so it gave me the freedom to and flexibility to take on the client work that I wanted to. But then it also meant I was free at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning to go run to the post office or take my kid to the zoo or that kind of thing. So I've managed to enjoy the benefits of working for myself. And they do say you work harder when you work for yourself, and I think that's true, and more hours, but they're also more flexible too. And so I was able to use that time, those pockets of time, in unique ways to be with my family and my kids. There's still times when I'm off on a Sunday night videotaping something and the kids are sitting at home cozy watching a movie or something, but I still get to go out and do plenty of things with them. So the work-life balance is just about flexibility. Those pockets of time do exist, so you just got to make them a priority.
Well, it sounds like that aspect of being able to be in total control of your own schedule pretty much, and when you decide
Yeah,
to do things.
I don't know if to total control of my schedule is quite how I'd look at it. I mean, you're at the beck and call, I should say, of your clients, right? Oh, we have to get this event videotaped at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. If you can't do it, we'll hire someone else. And I'm going, do I want to lose that business? So I don't feel like I have total control over it. But I think looking at my time with a flexible mindset.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about innovation in your space. And,
Sure.
what are some of the things that you've done to become innovative, and how has maybe the space for what you do changed over the years?
Well, it's changed so dramatically. I mean, I was a TV news reporter. I was recording to tape and going back and editing in an editing suite. And video editing wasn't available on a laptop like I'm on today. The cameras were these big, huge box cameras that sat on your shoulder and had to edit to tape. And now you're filming with the iPhone. You're filming with the mirrorless camera that's a tiny little camera. And so that technology has kind of liberated a lot of folks like me to become full-time producers, produce quality work on the level of a Hollywood studio, more than ever now, with special effects and graphics that are available to producers like me. And at the same time, the internet, the changes in podcasting, blogging, YouTube coming along, social media has democratized the publication of video and use of video. And so I've watched over time, and I did it in the newspaper industry, as the newspapers, or in this case, my small business clients are thinking, oh, I run this kind of a company. I've never had to think about video for it, but now I do, right? So my newspaper at the time was like, maybe we should be doing online video, and they had hired me, and I'd been a TV reporter, so I I headed up that department of figuring out how do we have on our newspaper website, which, a small town here, Apple Valley, Minnesota, had never had video on their newspaper website, but those were the trends, and they had to start following them. So I've watched over the years as businesses have learned to, how should we have YouTube? Should we have a Facebook page? Should we shoot video? Should we pay somebody to do a promo video, or we call it a brand video? And drones is another example. I mean, we could just go on and on. The technology and the ability to do some incredible things with video just is at the fingertips of so many small business owners now in a way that it wasn't before. So it's dramatically changed things. And then social media. One of the newest kind of trends for small businesses, and something I pitch, is reels and social media content on an ongoing basis, right? So you feel the pressure as a small business owner to get content out there for your Facebook page, for LinkedIn, for Instagram, and a lot of times it's educational content, it's about your product or service, that kind of thing, and that's a monster you have to constantly feed. And so I'm looking to be that provider for small businesses that I get on retainer with them, and I produce regular content for them monthly, so they can focus on their skill set and their business and serving their customers, and I create that content for them. Then it really has to drive business, though. It has to not just be pretty content living on a website. It actually has to drive click-throughs and be part of a concerted sales effort that goes into a sales funnel, and leads are tracked and things like that. So I work with my clients to do that, and I never thought I'd be doing that when I started as a journalist, or even as a video producer.
Yeah, no, it's actually changed. It's a bit like you're a market strategist in some ways,
Yes.
and video happens to be the media.
Yeah, I mean, I could rest on my laurels and say, hey, I'm just a guy behind the camera, but being able to help my clients navigate some of that and educate them, or be the specialist when they come to me and say, hey, I know we need video, but we don't know what to do with it. If I didn't know what to do with it, that would be a problem, right? So I sometimes have to jump into that role as a strategist, as you said.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good flexibility too. Uh, Maybe let's talk a little bit about the future plans and goals that you have for your business. You kind of alluded to it a little bit at the beginning, so
Yeah, well, two things. One's possibly a new business with speaking, but for my existing business, is like I said, I want to change with the times, and I want to provide a service that's valuable to my clients. I do pretty well right now with the client list that I have, and some new referrals come in, but repeat customers that need a video for this specific purpose, and they hire me. What I am driving towards right now is doing more advertising, getting comfortable with the sales process. I hired a coach to coach me in my business, to get out there and be proactive about some of the new things that things like I mentioned, like the retainer package. That's a new offering from my business, to say, hey, if you want to hire me on an ongoing basis. Now, of course, that's also a strategy as a business person that I'm thinking about, is how do I level out cash flow? When I'm only getting my clients coming to me once a year saying I want one video for a few $1,000s, and then I have to just string a bunch of those together as I'm thinking through sales, it gets my cash flow is up and down depending on who comes to me when for a video. And obviously I want to think about retainers as a way to have steady monthly income. I think that might be applicable for other business owners to think about, how can they get on retainers with their product or services. For me, I think it also makes sense too. I don't want to push them on a retainer and not provide value. So it's making sense that people need social media content, and they need smart social media content deployed strategically, so it leads to new leads and revenue growth. And so I'm thinking through all of that, and I want to grow into that. So hopefully in a year or 2 years, I've got some great retainer clients. We're cranking out content, and I'm thinking about how to produce that content at scale in a way that's easy, because obviously I can only take on so many if I'm the only person. I do have editors and other freelancers that work for me when the workload goes really up in a certain month. The second thing is the public speaking. So this is brand new. You guys are getting this before I've even created my keynote speeches, but I work for a couple of keynote speakers and do video for them. And I just been really inspired. I taught public speaking in college when I was getting my master's degree. I've always enjoyed speaking, and I'm really passionate still about that intersection between conflict resolution and journalism. what does conflict resolution have to teach journalists about how to go in and cover conflict in a way that doesn't make it worse? And so I want to speak on that topic. I think there's obviously record low trust in the media, particularly mainstream media. And so I want to speak to journalists about earning back that trust. And conflict sensitive journalism is something I've studied. I think that has some answers for us in terms of how to cover things in a better way.
That's a really interesting topic, and obviously very relevant to our times.
Yeah, yeah, I've been passionate for a long time. Maybe I'll get lucky, and this is the right idea for the right moment. So I'm hoping so.
Well, that could definitely be. So, knowing that this show is targeted towards people who are going to be maybe in their first few years of business, do you have any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to share with our audience today?
I do think it's worth getting a mentor or coach, seeking out that initially. I wish I had done that a lot sooner. Sometimes you have to pay for that kind of stuff, but you can also find folks in your industry who've been in it a lot longer who might be willing to sit down for coffee with you. And I would say if you're going to ask someone to be a mentor, especially if they're going to do it for free, and somebody that you know, but maybe you don't know well enough to ask them for free things. I think the only thing that people want to do when they're asked to mentor you is to see you actually put in the work. And so try to find a mentor or coach and then be willing to put in the work that whatever advice they're giving you or challenging business things they're asking you to do. I think that's something that I could give all kinds of different advice about starting your own business and particularly video production business or something. But I think just being open to having a coach and learning some things, and maybe even taking some coursework and stuff like that might be leading to that. There's a lot of vendors out there that are offering that kind of stuff. Some of them are shady, some of them are legit and offer some really great coaching programs.
Yeah, that's really great. And so, just for the people watching, I want to make them aware of a free resource for coaching here in the Twin Cities. It's called twincitiesscore.org. And they have people who've owned their businesses in the past are now mentors and coaches for others to help them kind of get their businesses up and going. And it's primarily targeted towards people who are just starting their businesses.
Perfect. Is that through the SBA?
That
Small
is,
business.
yeah, the
Yeah.
SBA started up that organization because they recognized that small businesses were failing in the first few years, and they wanted to put some resources in place to help them through that period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I guess the other piece of advice would be going back to what I said before. I think if you can focus on how, and this is what I tell my kids too, if you can focus on how to be helpful, to provide value, to get someone else where they want to go, that is key, I think, in running your own business. You can keep an eye on the bottom line and make sure your pricing is right up to date and all that stuff. But I think you find real success and real connection with people. People will see the authenticity of they'll see your heart a little bit if you're willing to focus on what is their problem and I want to help you solve that first and foremost, and less about, hey, I need your business. I think that is another key to success.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for your interest in having me on the podcast, and I wish you all the best of luck and stay in touch.
Yeah, it was great meeting you, learning more about your journey. And to everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.